Oggi ragazzi andiamo a guardare questo youtuber che fa analoga EU, infection. Andate a supportarlo, quindi grazie a lui che sto facendo il video. Iniziamo. E se sentite una musica mio fratello, scusate.
I've gotten a lot of requests on different horror AUs to talk about, and after voting and getting the most praise, it's now time to talk about the Inside Out Tapes AU. Now, the Inside Out Tapes is a story about the main character Riley, who gets a new emotion taking over her body and sending her down a path of total doom, with other emotions becoming corrupted and, let's just say, missing. Starting out in Volume 1, we're told...
Come ho detto prima, non è per bambini. Cioè, non è per bambini questo, se dovete essere sinceri. Quindi chi è troppo piccolo dovete avere un supervisore. Chi è troppo piccolo. Quindi tipo chi ha, che ne so, 8, 9, ci può stare, ma chi è un po' troppo piccolo, quindi 6, 5, anche 7, deve avere un supervisore. Un supervisore, perché sennò qua mi bannano il canale.
Currently, what's going on in the mind of Riley, and her condition is uncontrolled. She keeps seeing this moment in her head where she's riding in the back of the car and her parents are in the front, where then out of nowhere something causes a huge accident. It's not a monster, but a truck. This is known to be a false memory that is covering up for something else that's bothering Riley, which we'll soon find out. But anyways, Riley has kept repeating the same memory over and over again, and trying to get everything under control, Joy tried to remove the corrupted memory without success. Now, Inside Out is about the emotions inside of a girl's mind: joy, sadness, anger, fear, anxiety, and disgust, and the list goes on and on, who all control the girl's mind and actions as she navigates life changes. But new ones can also appear and show up later, or just disappear as she grows up and changes. And soon, a new emotion named trauma appears, asking Riley,
"Have you ever wondered why you feel the way you feel? When everything in your life makes no sense."
Sì, qua mi dà un po' chi ha le cuffie distrugge proprio, cioè le orecchie vi distrugge. Quindi scusate, ma è così. Aspetta, provo a abbasso un po' il volume. Ci sta. Andiamo, continuiamo nel frattempo.
Is in charge.
Big Bubble.
Dai, bro! Ma dai!
Play il bubblegum ufficiale di NBA in Italia. Big Bubble. Play big.
This isn't just any chat, it's ClickUp chat. Sure, you can tag your team, ask questions, and even...
And then it makes its silent entrance, ironically corrupting her emotion, Joy, who soon would go through some very concerning but noticeable changes through the past 5 days. She's lost color in her eyes and gotten a more psychotic, unwelcoming look, prompting anxiety with...
A me non mi cioè, a me mi fa paura, non questa, ma questa mi fa proprio la più paura. Cioè, mi viene tra un po' di urlare perché mi fa un po' troppo paura, troppo, se devo essere in realtà sincero. Ma che
The idea of trapping her in a jar for safety would lead to a rotten, unpleasant smell flooding the headquarters. From this moment forward, think of Riley's joy and happiness being bottled up, so she won't feel this emotion anymore. And even if it escapes, as you can see, joy will never be the same for Riley again, as something keeps haunting her from the inside out, which is probably where the smell is coming from, as she probably isn't even in a good enough mood to even take a shower. Meanwhile, through the next days, trauma begins to corrupt other emotions like envy, disgust, and embarrassment, turning it into something they were never meant to be. And unfortunately, trauma would be the main reason that led to the death of sadness and anger. Luckily, fear, ennui, and anxiety escaped with some small but also major injuries. And ever since the other emotions left Riley's head, trauma now has control and tells her,
"Oh, my dear Riley, you know very well that without them you are nothing. It's time to make some changes. It's time to drop everything. It's time for a new idea."
Ora raga, ci sarà una roba che non dovreste vedere. Ecco perché serve un supervisore purtroppo.
would put an end to all of her suffering, all of the thoughts, memories. Showed up at the end of the tape for a brief millisecond, saying the accident left them like this. Next, she aged. Volume 2, it starts off with flashbacks to when Riley was younger. Next, into the tape for taking the easy way out. End of the tape.
Ok.
This showed up at the end of the tape for a brief millisecond, saying the accident left them like this. Next, in volume 2, it starts off saying
Wait, ma che brutto! Wow, fammi...
This showed up at
Ma che brutto, con la bocca rossa, bro.
the end of the tape for 2, it starts off with flashbacks to when Riley was younger. As she ages, we are brought back to the present where Riley plans to do the unthinkable. I want you guys to take notice to the fact that not only was she happier when she was younger, but her desk was emptier. As she got older and sadder, she started taking pills and medication called quetiapine, which treats schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression. Whatever this memory that she's dealing with that we haven't seen yet has to be horrifying. In the next scene, we're shown the emotions that ended up getting away, with fear saying something doesn't make sense. What is this thing? Luckily, we managed to escape, and they start to brainstorm on what they're gonna do next and how they're going to save Riley. And sadly, during this, Ennui did reveal that she did end up leaving Envy dead to her shotgun. And before her death, corrupted Envy did get corrupted Joy out of the jar. Anyways, they make the plan to go to the back of Riley's mind. And after finding a dead construction worker on the ground, they then end up running into corrupted Embarrassment. Rising out of the shadows, I can't help but notice how dark it is in Riley right now. Usually there's a lot going on within Riley's mind when it comes to lighting, but this just shows us that Riley's in the worst state that she's ever been in her life. But luckily, Embarrassment didn't attack, and they continued on their path. Like I said, it is dark, so Ennui's using her camera flash to navigate. Shot through the middle of the head, Joy is gone, and they continue on their path, leaving something behind Riley will never have again. They then go on to show us what happened to
Qualsiasi è, da quello che ho
Joy
capito,
in her final
quella cosa è stato qua dopo l'incidente.
moments before she was
No, after, prima
infected,
dell'incidente.
and it's revealed that she knew of Trauma's presence.
Avevo sentito la presenza per mesi.
The whole time, he's always been in Riley's mind, and that he's always giving her
Lui ha sempre provato a dare Riley le memorie false. Metto i sottotitoli così potete. Sottotitoli, traduzione automatica. italiano. Potete leggere ora i cosi.
False thoughts. And once Joy realized that one of these thoughts weren't false, trauma took over. Meanwhile, the emotions finally reached the back of her mind. And not only do they find the false thought that they were looking for, but a mountain full of them all. And then these alarms go off that honestly would give anybody goosebumps. Remember the idea that trauma gave Riley? Fear knowing what these sirens mean says only a miracle can save Riley. And as you hear the rope dangling, thankfully, her mom comes and stops her. Her mom basically reassures to Riley that she's here for her, and Riley's like, wait, Mom, I thought I lost you in the accident. And that's when her mom says, you haven't been taking your medications, haven't you? I called your dad, he's on his way, let's take a bath. One thing to know is that at the end of this tape, there is a QR code, and if you go to it, it brings you to a website that is describing psychosis, which occurs when a person loses contact with reality. The person may have false beliefs about what is going on, and even have hallucinations, seeing and hearing things that are not there, which is the creator telling us why Riley's on pills. But what is the memory that she's having trouble with? Before the next volume 3, I want to warn people that there is a huge trigger warning in this and that you should prepare yourself if you're not ready now. But
È vero, raga, ma io l'ho guardato, mi ero cagato tutto in mano, quindi come ha detto lui, chi è preparato può vedere, chi non è, allora mette fermo qua, guarda gli altri video, poi appena mette il video guardiamo più tardi, poi appena è pronto lo riguardo.
anyways, the emotions noticed that a miracle had happened and Riley had been saved, but they still have work to do. But before they go back to the headquarters, Fear ironically fears that they would end up like the other corrupted ones. But Amu tells them that we have to be the ones to save Riley, and Anxiety backs her up by saying, yeah, that was only a temporary save and trauma will still harass Riley and make it worse, using false beliefs, false memories, and even worse, hallucinations that would end up leading to Riley not only to hurt herself, but this time to hurt others. And Anu says one thing that catches my eye, which is that she has one shot left, and it will weaken it, but it won't kill it, because at the end of the day, it is a disorder, not an emotion like them. Meanwhile, it shows us Riley's dad calling for her friends to come over and cheer Riley up. And he goes in the room to tell her that they're coming over and also asks if, sweetie, are you okay? And she's like, I miss them very much. And when he asks her how she feels, she's like, everything hurts. She also says, my eyes hurt and I just want it to end. And after Riley's dad hears this, he does the most L-dad thing here and says, I'll leave you alone. And what's interesting is that at 3 minutes and 1 second into this tape, if you pause it at the right time, it says, don't pretend like you don't know what you did to me. Every red mark on my body lasts over time. Meanwhile, the emotions are still in her mind traveling to the headquarters. And it's again super dark, so they have to travel by putting...
Ora che ci penso, è vero, L. È L! Cioè, zio, nessuno che se uno sta male, cioè nessuno lascia il figlio, zio. Cioè, quindi è vero, è un L, se dobbiamo essere sinceri.
On the flashlight this time, which I don't know why they didn't do from the beginning, but you only live once, and that's when Anwi starts to hear something. And she stops and says, you can hear it getting closer.
Love Roblox? Earn Roblox digital gift cards with Microsoft Rewards.
Che non vuole guardare gli ads, fa più veloce a saltare.
They run into nostalgia, who is the feeling of pleasure and sometimes slight sadness as you think about the things that happened in the past. In the last film, she didn't really play a big role and was sent back in the closet to come out later because Riley was at the age where she wasn't really feeling nostalgia yet. But remember when Riley was having a little bit of flashbacks when she was younger? I wouldn't be surprised if that was nostalgia coming out to kind of save Riley a little bit until trauma ended up infecting her. The sad thing about this moment in the tape is that it's revealed that the emotions are actually still alive, and when they're corrupted, they just can't do anything about it. They're just stuck there to watch their body do some unspeakable things, and that's when nostalgia speaks up and says, just ended right here and right now, because she doesn't want to do any more harm. Keep in mind, due to what's going to be revealed pretty soon, her death kinda did make sense, unfortunately. After Grand Mima was dead, they head up to the headquarters. Meanwhile, outside of Riley's body, her friends have arrived and they came to cheer her up. And she has a smile on her face for the first time in a while. Since Joy is gone and dead, maybe someone in the comments can explain what's actually going on in the scene when it pertains to Riley, but her friends came there and said, your parents told us how you've been feeling and you need to take your medications, instantly shutting down her smile. And that's when she says, I keep seeing deformed faces. I did not ask to suffer this. Her friends basically say, we understand and don't be afraid to ask for help. And Riley says, why are you smiling? And then she says, I'm scared. And that's when traumatized starts sinking in.
Why would you be afraid, Riley? They were to blame. Most of all, Dad.
Damn! Nella fronte.
Anwa, after shooting him, says, we all agreed not to talk about that. And it looked...
Cioè, bro, vuoi parlare? Nah, bro.
back at her and says, did you think that one shot could end it all? We agreed to not talk about that. Riley will remember what caused this. Then, trigger warning again, it shows Riley's dad with no shirt on. And Riley crying, with hers off as well. And Trauma, before he goes after getting shot, says, I'll be back. Riley will never forget about that moment in the past, and because of that, the trauma will always be there. Riley was assaulted by her father, and all the emotions knew this. They just didn't know how to cover it up. And all the emotions knew this. They just didn't know how to assaulted by her father. And all the emotions.
Credita? No, serio. Serio, bro.
Knew this. They just didn't know how to cover it up or get rid of it. And that's why Trauma took control. Trauma came up with the idea of her ending it all, because no matter what, Riley will never forget about it. In the end, the idea of Riley doing the unspeakable and taking her own life was put to an end, leaving her left with only 3 emotions: ennui, anxiety, and fear. Left basically emotionless and with only her friends as well, they give her a hug and say, no, Riley, you're not alone. We can overcome this disorder. We're Trauma, together. And for anyone that's watching this, you are not alone as well. And if you ever need any type of help, you can always DM me on Instagram, join my Discord, and talk to me through DMs, or even hit the 24/7 line of people that are willing to help and talk to you out of certain situations and, you know, the worst times of life. I've had my fair share of thoughts, and I'll tell you right now, it always gets better. It always. Make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to not miss out on the next parts. I love you guys, and all of you are amazing.
Iscrivetevi, ovviamente, iscrivetevi. È finito il video. Ci vediamo al prossimo video. O forse al mio main canale. Mi scuso perché avevate tipo lo schermo storto. Non mi ero preparato. Tanto è la seconda volta, quindi ci può stare un po'. Ci vediamo al prossimo video al mio main, o se no ho questo canale. Ciao.